You think this Buffalo Bills team's got enough to get to the Super Bowl this year? When
Greg hates questions.
I
like
know,
that.
but it's like when you go against these legit defenses,
no
Houston,
doubt.
Denver, like the thing with Buffalo is their inconsistency and kind of their weakness is their defense.
Yeah.
So when you're going up against these elite defenses that I just mentioned, it's like, do they have enough? Are they going to have enough to get to the Super Bowl? Because that's kind of the question with the Bills every year.
Yeah, I think the advantage in the AFC for all the teams. So I'm going to answer your question and not answer your question. The answer is yes, right? I think they're good enough. And I think partially is because of Josh Allen. And when you have a quarterback like that, especially if Lamar's not in it and Burrow's not in it and Mahomes isn't in it, like if that all plays out, that those teams are all home, for as good as Drake May is, Bo Nix, like these guys are, Drake May could potentially be the MVP. Do any of those AFC teams really scare you? Are you saying, oh my God, how are we going to beat the 15-win Chiefs? Oh my God, how are we going to beat the 13-win Ravens?
Yeah.
Not really. Not really. I think any of those AFC teams could beat any of those AFC teams. I think the path through the AFC this year is vastly different than it has been the last couple of years, where it was almost a foregone conclusion it was going to come down to some combination of Lamar, Josh Allen, and Mahomes.
Right.
Like, seemed like everybody else was just playing like fun games. Like, yeah, it's really cool that the Texans made it. Oh, it's really cool. But did any of those teams really think that they were going to make a run to the Super Bowl? Not really. I think all 7 AFC teams that end up making it this year, I think home, away, whatever. If I was in the AFC, I would not be scared to play any of them. I'm probably not thrilled to play Houston's defense.
Yeah.
They are so good.
Denver as well.
I don't fear the advantage I have playing against Houston is I'm not like, holy shit, the defense is so good, and I got to find a way to score 25 points.
Mm-hmm.
You might be able to beat them by scoring 13 to 17 points.
Yeah. Because it's not like NFC feels like it's the NFC West and the Packers.
NFC is a juggernaut.
NFC is psychotic.
Yeah, it's like I don't want to throw the Niners out of it at all because of what they've done this year. But so you got the Rams, Seattle, the Niners, and the Packers. I feel like are the ones that are playing high level football.
Yeah, even the
and
ones
then
that
the
are
defending Super Bowl champion and the defending Super Bowl champ, who have been a very weird anomaly as far. Still could arguably be the most talented, not the best, but the most talented roster in football, who just went on a playoff run last year and won the whole thing. And they're like the 5th, 6th option out of the NFC right now on paper.
Right. Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah, it is scary. But for Buffalo, to me, it's like if you run into a team that can run the ball effectively and play good defense, you're in trouble. That's where you get big trouble. That's where we get to. I mean, Houston, you're right, their offense. But like Bo Nix, Sean Payton, and the Denver Broncos, I feel like they might be, from a playoff standpoint, the most built to play in the playoffs.
Until the Patriots go down, man. I like, obviously they've had a weaker schedule when we talk about schedules. Yes. And we're going to get to see it this weekend when it's Buffalo Patriots round 2.
Now, but the thing that, I don't know who I was listening to on the drive. It was Coward. He was talking about the Patriots, and he's like, yeah, but they are not like really great at running the football. They're great at throwing the football, which is, I know, Greg, trust me, I'll land this plane to where we can both agree. But when you get into the playoffs and you're playing in these stadiums in January, when it's open, the weather's different, it's freezing outside, wind everywhere, snow, it's now more difficult to throw the ball down the field the way the Patriots have. It's like you have elements playing against you along with the defense as well. That's what makes me worried for the Patriots. Because you're right, like the best team in the AFC right now is clearly the Patriots.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I agree. I don't disagree or push back on anything you just said. Playoff football, the formula for playing good offense, just winning in the playoffs is very different than winning in the regular season.
You've said that a few times on the show.
So as I sit here and talk about the value of the passing game and scoring points and all of that, in the regular season, yes. When you look at the best teams year in and year out, there's always going to be a couple that are like top 5 defenses and like middle of the road to bottom half offenses. The vast majority of the teams in the playoffs every year are going to find themselves in like the top 10 of offense.
Yeah.
different years, there's different anomalies, but over large periods of times, it's an offensive driven playoff picture. And then there's the couple wrinkles. When you get to the playoffs and all the crappy teams are home, and we're only left with teams that are, for the most part, good at offense. They probably have a good quarterback. There's probably some element of a passing game. Now, what is the differentiating factor to weed out the remaining teams? Run game, defense, special teams, clock management, end of game strategy. Like, that's where all those things carry even a bigger significance. So no, I don't push back on any of that. I think the way the Bills are built, while they're 9-4 in the regular season, and people are going, what's wrong with the Bills? We're used to them having 13 wins. I actually think a worse regular season record as a result of the way they're playing, I actually think bodes better for them come playoff time, because they don't need a hero performance every single minute and every play from Josh Allen. And that's been their problem in years past.
Mm-hmm. The thing that, going to the other team that just played, the Bengals, those things obviously out of the controllables are like Joe Burrow. Every year he's getting hurt. And you kind of go back to after his first season when he tore his ACL, and they're like, all right, they have the top 5 pick. They should take an offensive lineman. They ended up taking Jamar Chase, which is, obviously played out extremely well. But every year he's getting hurt. He's 3-1 this year as a quarterback, and their defense is terrible. As you were watching the game, and just from your football brain, seeing everything on the field, how far off is that defense and is that offensive line from being like, okay, we can now start looking at the Bengals again as a team that we need to throw in the AFC consistently? Because every preseason, it's like, oh yeah, these are the guys, and you less off the quarterback, and Joe Burrow's clearly in there, but then it's always an injury that takes place, and look how shitty their defense is.
Yeah, so I think offensively, I'm not saying the offensive line is great. They're average to below average as a group. But quarterbacks elevate the ceiling of an offense, and offensive line elevate the floor, right? So the better your offensive line is, you just build up, okay, we're at least as good as this, whatever that level is. But when you have a quarterback and you have Jamar Chase, and T. Higgins was great yesterday, and you have all the skill and the ability to score, you can outplay your offensive line. You could play above and beyond what they're capable of. I think the year that they went to the Super Bowl, wasn't he sacked like 70 times?
Yeah, it was like the most.
I felt like he was sacked 100 times.
And that game came down to Aaron Donald.
They couldn't protect the passer because Aaron Donald was an animal. So I say all of that to say, offensively, I think they're fine. Now, you're paying a ton of money to offensive skill players, and that's going to come at the demise of something else, right? You're going to have to draft really, really well. You're going to have to, when you draft offensive linemen, defensive linemen, you're going to have to play a lot of young players, because you need some cheap contracts to offset the really expensive guys. And that's the nature of anybody who's paid a top of the market quarterback. And that's anybody that has multiple highly paid offensive or defensive players, but traditionally offensively. So it really puts a ton of stress on your draft picks and those young D linemen and those young linebackers that Cincinnati right now has in the lineup. How fast and how good can they be? Because again, they don't need to be the Houston Texans defense. They don't need to hold people to 14 points a game. If they could, it's kind of along the lines of like Dallas, right? Yeah. So I kind of look at them at the same portion. If they could keep their offense exactly where it is and just get middle of the road, be the 16th, the 18th, the 20th ranked defense in points per game, you're going to win a lot of games.
Yeah.
But you can't be scoring 30 and give up 32.
Exactly.
And that's Dallas. That's Cincinnati. So I think that's all of their resources going forward have to be put on the defensive side of the ball. And that's easier said than done, because it's going to mostly come through the draft. And you better draft really well, because those guys are going to play. And if they don't play, you got no shot, because you missed on your draft picks, and all your cheap assets aren't good enough to elevate the game. And it's going to be what they have now.